heart stroke or heart disease is becoming a concerning or alarming situation nowadays in the whole world. Everybody is panicking. We are hearing this news every other day that somebody is dying with heart stroke. Even the younger generation is facing this issue. So AI has evolved from a few years on that area as well. AI is giving solutions on that area. AI, if you see AI's perspective, that it is able to give or generate the details whether the person will get heart stroke or not. So those kind of areas, and so it is evolving. And just imagine that if you would be in that position, how it is going to be. So we need to understand and face the reality of the situation, and we need to work on it. And we need to join hands with AI or the artificial intelligence, and need to be fast forward in this world to tackle this situation. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to understand the AdaBoosting technique used on the heart stroke dataset, and we will explore everything on that part. We will see how, what are the features available, how we are going to work on it. So let's explore that part right now. What is the first step, guys? We have to get our base libraries imported. So we did that. Then this is the dataset overview. Okay, so here we have ID. Then now we have gender, age, hypertension. 0 means if the patient does not have hypertension. 1 means if the patient has hypertension. Heart disease 0 if the patient does not have any heart diseases, because the stroke is related to the heart disease and hypertension directly. And 1 if the patient has a heart disease. Ever married, either yes or no. Then work type, children, government job, never worked, private or self-employed. Then residence type, it's a rural and urban. So all these are my categorical type, data types. Then average glucose level, it's average level of glucose in blood sample. Then BMI, body mass index, smoking status, formerly smoked, never smoked, smokes or unknown. We will talk about it, about unknown, when we'll proceed for the stroke. Either 1 if the patient has a stroke, 0 if not. So unknown is the smoking status. That means that information is unavailable for this patient. But do we have to consider that kind of data set in our study or in our proceeding? Let's explore that. And now I have, I'm reading my CSV, and this is my head of the data. And the data looks like this, you can see. Now we will explore on the info by data.info part. So we can see that we have null values present here in BMI, and we will treat those null values in our upcoming things. And this is how we can detect our null values, right? With ease, null and sum. So we have 201 null values present here in BMI, and this is the head of my BMI. My bad. This is the head of my BMI, and okay, just clear some. And now I am filling my BMI data with mean, because BMI is a continuous variable, and I can use mean to fill the data. Either you can use imputation, simple imputer, and you can the strategy you can use mean over there. But I am using fill because I have shown many examples with that. Now I am thinking of showing with fill n, and you have to pass numeric only equal to true whenever you are going to do that. Then after doing that, I am again checking whether I have null values present or not, and I don't have any. And this is my descriptive statistics. So here we can see mean, STD, then all quartiles and everything. Then this is my count plot, and in my count plot, and this is the count plot for gender. Okay, and in my count plot I found one discrepancy. So you can see that I have male and female all are with a proportionate amount of data present. However, I have one more category is author. Okay, so, and it does not look good because I'm not seeing any, it looks like that I have very less data over my author category. What I did, I have I thought of checking whether I have my other, like how many counts of other categories present in my data set. So for that, I was trying to print, and what I saw that I have only one row present with other category. So I thought of dropping that row, and this is how you can drop row. Most of the times you have worked with dropping columns, and this is how you can drop row. It's just simple. For dropping rows, you just need to use labels, because labels is the one which is the index or the inbuilt index for your data set, right? So this is the label number, right? Or this is the row number, or the way we are seeing row number. So row number I had C116 from this, and X is 0. X is 1 means it's column always, and X is 0 means it is row wise. Column wise, row wise. And in place equal to true. That means I'm saying that once this is over, I do not want this to be repeated in my data set. So I did that, and now if you see the final count plot, I'm not able to see that data here, and it looks clean for me. Because pre-processing of the data is very important when you're working with the algorithms. Then after that, I'm just checking all different categories, like what are the different categories present. So for that, I have taken ever merit, right? Ever merit, I have yes or no, and I can see it's a proportionate amount. It is good. It looks good. Then we will count plot. In my count plot, I can see work type count plot I am seeing. So here I can see that I have private, self-employed, government jobs, children, and never worked. And here again, I am seeing some kind of like I doubted that I have some discrepancies on never worked category. So for that reason, I have checked what is the count present for my never worked counts, and I can see that I have all total 22 counts, and it's a condensable amount of data for me, and it should be taken forward for study. Then I can see my residence type, and I have urban and rural, two types of residence types are available. Then I have smoking status, and these are my smoking status: formerly smoked, never smoked, smokes, and unknown. And unknown looks bad to me because unknown, it is going to confuse my machine or the reading of my machine that this is a category, but it's not a category. Either somebody will smoke, somebody will not smoke, or somebody has some past history of smoke. So these three can be fine. Even I should be working with formal smoke, but yeah, I mean, let it be. So unknown is the one where it needs to be taken care of, or it needs to be treated. So for that, what I did first, I have taken the unknown, and I have replaced with np.nan and nan, right? With nan only I can treat out, or I can fill my data, right? First I have to convert that to nan, whatever the values you have. So I did that, and I can see that here actually I was trying, but so initially if you check, you will get some amount of data, but after treating with nan, I am not getting any kind of row with unknown. So every data has been converted to nan. Now I can again check is null and with sum. So I am getting 1544 amount of rows. So what I did, after that I have taken my mode. Again, mode is not the correct way here. You can just go with the count plot, and you can see, yeah, we have never smoked only. So the same thing we will get here. The mode, then you can just replace, or you can fill the data with mode, and finally I'm not getting any more. You see, finally I'm not getting any more data with unknown, right? Everything is filled with the proper data. So now my data set is treated and cleaned. Let's explore on the ordinalencoder. Now I want to convert, for further studies, I want to convert my data set to what I can say. I mean, I need to convert my data set to numerical columns. All my categorical columns, whatever I have, I want to convert them to numerical columns. For that, what I did, I have taken my head, this the like after ordinalencoder, this is my head, and all my data have been converted to numerical type. Then after that, this is my heat map. This is just for information I have taken. However, I can see that there are no much correlation among each other. However, it is not weighted. This should be one of the criteria, right? Why that should be one of the criteria? Because decision tree will see the data, or it should evolve those information through study or through understanding the pattern. There should not be any correlation, so that it will be easier for the decision tree to take those data and to work on it. Like it will be easier for the decision tree to split, right, to get the purity of the data. But that's not the case, because the base model here is the decision tree. It is working good with decision tree, and along with that, it can work with the logistic regression. But if you think of KNN and SBM, all 9 base, it is not a case, because here what we are trying to do, like in case of AdaBoosting, we are trying to boost up, and the boost is happening only with nodes, or like what is only with the nodes, or the it should work with weights, right? We are working with weights, and logistic regression can take up weights, right? And whenever we are talking about naive base, yeah, there is some possibility that it can take weights, but KNN and SBM, they are not good with weights, right? Here we are working with the different other techniques as compared to, like, we have kernel functions, right, in SBM, and in case of KNN, we are working with the neighbors. We are not adding weights over there. So for that reason, it is better with, if you're planning to use some base classifiers, then you can use decision tree is the main, because it is working with the decision tree stub, or else you can take the logistic regression. And this is now what is the next step, guys? We have to import our sklearn libraries. So here I am using the hyperparameter just to show you the accuracy, and I have taken the accuracy without hyperparameter. So we will explore that part. So I have taken train display, gridsearchcv, right? That's the most common hyperparameter tuning method, and this is my base model, right? Or the base, the base model or the base algorithm which I have used, decision tree classifier, and it's available in tree. And in Ensemble, we have AdaBoost classifier. You can see the the syntax over here. We have Ensemble. Inside Ensemble library, we have AdaBoost classifier class. Then we have metrics. We are trying to get accuracy score and classification report. And we know the next part, right? We have to drop our, the dependent column from all my independent columns. Then we have to get the dependent columns. Then after that, we have to get out train and test split. Then we have to define my base model or the weak learner in case of this, right? Because this is a sequential study of your ensemble technique. And here I have taken my decision tree classifier as a base model. Then after that, I am passing, like I am creating ADA. And in my AdaBoost classifier, I am passing my estimator. So this is the way you should implement the AdaBoosting method. So with that, it will boost up the algorithm, or it will boost up model for accuracy. So this is my estimator, base model, and random state, right? Then after that, I am going ahead with defining my grids, right? Hyperparameter. For hyperparameter tuning, I need my grids. So for that, I have taken an estimator's learning grid, right? Estimator max depth, because this is the decision tree. Estimator means sample leaf. So these are the different factors I have taken here. And we know how we can do it for decision tree. If you are not able to recall, just go through those videos and get it. Then we have gridsearchcv. Inside gridsearchcv, I am passing my estimator. Usually what we are doing, we are passing the estimator estimator as decision tree, but here we have to pass the estimator as ADA because we want to boost our model. Then our param grid, then CV cross validation I have taken 5, then scoring, accuracy, then end jobs -1 I have not taken for boost. Then I am fitting my model with my train data, right? And this is what I'm getting my estimator. And if I open my decision tree classified parameters, this is what it is taking. Criterion Gini, splitter best, max depth 1, minimum sample split 2, minimum sample sleeve 1, random state 42. Then all other things you are seeing are the default block. Then the best parameters what we are getting, estimated max depth 1, estimated minimum sample sleeve 1, learning rate 0.01 and estimated 50. Then we are trying to predict our model from the best model, right? Then we are getting the accuracy. So the accuracy percentage which we are getting is a 95% here, so which is a good number, right? As compared to our normal algorithms. Boosting will give you the better accuracy. So hence proved. Then we have the classification report, and the classification report, what I am seeing that I am getting 0 with 95% precision recon, and 1 I am getting 0, and that's why I'm getting a warning that just use a zero division exception over there or like that. But why we're getting that, guys? Just see this, that we have the data present, or the zero class. The zero class is present is 1, 4, 5, 8 numbers, and the 1 class present is 75 numbers only. And that is creating the difference. Because the zero class is overpowering, it is not able to detect. We need to observe this whenever we are getting any output like this, that it's obvious, right? We have 1 class with a higher side and 1 class with a very minimal or diminished side. So that's how we can understand. But however, my accuracy came at 95%, and it's all depending on the data it has taken, the test data it has taken. So that is fine. Then this is my default model, right? Now I am just showing that we have got our output with hyperparameter settings. Now we will see how our base model, or without hyperparameter, what is the accuracy we are getting, and let's see that. So same thing, the default model, this is my default model, this is the fit. Then I'm fitting my AdaBoost classifier with decision tree classifier. Then I'm predicting my output, and the accuracy I'm getting at 90%, 90.4%. And we can see that as compared to our base model study, we can see that the boosting model is giving us the better accuracy. So in general also, most of the studies or most of the cases, people are using this boosting algorithm or boosting methods because it is going to give the better accuracies compared to the normal accuracies. That's why random forest is the most loved algorithm, because if you'll compare other classifiers, random forest is the one which is going to give you the better accuracy because of the ensemble technique it has used. So that's it, guys. I mean, we have covered our AdaBoosting example with a proper data set, with a Heartstone data set, and we will explore the next XG boosting concept in our upcoming videos. And guys, if you like the content, just go ahead and subscribe and provide your feedback, valuable feedback, like, share your comments, and just any doubts, any questions, any queries, please reach out to me during comment sections. And I can see that now you guys are doing already, but yeah, you can do that. And let's meet during our next video. While subscribing, do not forget to hit the bell icon, and see you. Bye.